Okay, I think I've got my first layer on here. I'm using some wool that I bought from a nearby yarn supply store. I got a roving of it. I got about a pound, 16 ounces. And what you put on, that I learned, is based on ounces. So I don't have a digital scale. I'm kind of eyeballing it and going by feel. But I'm putting a layer down. And for my Mukluk-Liners, which were much bigger and taller than this, I actually used some wool batting. And I believe I used 10 ounces for the whole piece. So this is one whole pair one side. So there's a right pair and a left pair, or the left one and the right one. And then we're gonna flip it over and then bind them together, and then that's what we'll have. And we'll cut this in half, and that's what will give us a pair of slippers or liners or booties or whatever. But the question would be, how much wool would you need to put down? And for liners here, again, I'm not quite sure because I don't have a scale to measure this, so I'm kind of going by feel, and I really couldn't measure this as far as width-wise what I would use because the texture is different. So, like I said, for a large project, I used 10. I could have went on and maybe went another 2 ounces for my larger project, which was my boot liners. These smaller boot liners for my daughter, they're smaller. I would probably go with maybe about the same amount, 10 ounces each side. And as I recollect, I probably might have got 2 pounds, about the 2-pound roving. I just bought the whole thing. It was $2 and some change per ounce. So, if you have, if you like handicrafts and you have some extra change laying about, then you can go and get you at least enough roving from a supplier to help your to make your project. Otherwise, you just take a road trip if you live in the city out to a farmer that keeps sheep. And nowadays, thank goodness for the digital age, we can just Google it, and there's probably a farmer, somebody that rancher that keeps sheep that to be more than willing to let you take as much raw wool, which would be quite dirty. You'd have to clean it. It'd have burrs and bugs and feces and grass and stuff, but it'd probably be free, and it'd just be your energy and elbow grease to clean it, to get it like this, with cold water, not hot, because we're going to be using hot water to felt, but with cold water, and then you'd have a supply of wool that you could use. So I wanted to expedite this process, so I didn't go the extra mile and or 2 or 3 or 10 to find a sheep farmer to get a hold of some wool this time. I may do that in the near future here, though. So what I'm going to do, this feels about right. So I can always lay some more on, but what I'm going to do is I got my cart over here, and I've got some hot water here. Again, I don't want it scalding. I don't want to hurt myself. And then this is it's kind of warm, so I might cool it down with some cold water. And I've got my natural soap. I'm told any kind of soap will work. I'm going to stick with natural because I don't have a lot of time to experiment for this project, so I want to make sure that I'm using natural soap because it's the better soap to help the felting process. But any kind of soap will do and even urine from a primitive standpoint. So as far as doing something like this primitively, I'm not quite clear on that. I would probably venture to guess that I would have to try to make some sort of resist, maybe out of tree bark, or some leather, some buckskin of some sort, something that won't stick to it, because the resist is what's going to create the hollow space. So we'll see that soon. So I'd have to give that some thought, and maybe I have to actually ask who I learned this from, Miss Elise Kylo, and maybe she'd have some ideas of how you would completely go about making felted booties from a primitive standpoint with nothing. So, but I like traditional crafts too, and they're a great accompaniment for my mukluks. And so I'm going to go ahead and although I did buy some things, some commercial things to help expedite the process, I still think it's a neat traditional skill to know anyhow. So now we're about ready to make things wet. Alright. So I've got some water here, some warm water in a little squirt bottle. I'm just going to kind of squirt this on here, like so. Just a little bit. And I'm going to take some of this over here, my little warm water, and I've got some soap in it. I kind of want to just kind of break up some of the soap in the water and then squeeze it all around. I want to get this wet. And I actually may cover the other side, but I kind of wanted to show you this. And this is warm. I can barely touch it. I don't want to scald myself, so be careful with hot water. But I don't want it too tepid. And you see the soap suds coming out? That's what I want. Okay. I just want to wet this down like so. Okay, so I covered it up. And again, I'm going to continue to just wet the whole thing with my soapy water. And warm soapy water, and smashing it down with sheer curtain. You can, or cheesecloth or something like that. You can see through it. I'm going to work a little blind, but I think I'll be alright. And I just want to get it flat and down. So, okay. Using some of my soap to get it nice and soapy. And like this. I don't want to get it too wet, but I don't want to not use enough. So I'm going to use both my hands to move the water around. So, get some more water. Nice and soapy, just like so. Okay. Make sure the whole area gets nice and wet. So a little dry over here. A little bit more soap there. And there we go. Kind of peel this back gently. Just the one layer. Uh-oh. Yeah, what we don't want is it to stick to our fabric. And that's the beauty of wool, is that it will latch onto other fibers. So you can add nice decorations and designs by adding other fibers. So what I may do is put a little bit of plastic down, or just use my hands to keep this from happening. Okay, but I'll just lay this back on there. It's thick enough to where, and it's already starting to feel a little different. And but I'm doing this so I can see what areas are not getting felted or worked. What areas are not getting wet. And what areas are also need more wool. So I'm going to continue this process and get it more wet, especially around here. It's dry, and around these areas it's dry. But so far so good. So far so good. I'm just going to continue the process.